Amy, you ever get the feeling that like you waited for something for so long and when it finally happens, you're just in shock and awe? Like, Jamie, make sure I do this fill-in today because I forgot to do it yesterday out of all the excitement.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just throw it on my schedule. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I won. Winner takes all is the name of the title because I went against the state of New Jersey, not voluntarily, but because of being a victim of crime. And I won. I was arrested 6 times. 4 of them, I went to county jail for 7 to 8 days in a row. I spent 31 days in county jail. I never retaliated once. I never lost my cool once. Meaning, like, I might have been loud, and there's a lot of amazing body camera footage Livingston Police Department has. But please understand that in order for you to think that I'm crazy, you must first put yourself in my shoes. I am a non-college graduate, self-made multi-millionaire who had everything taken away from him overnight. Within 48 hours of filing a domestic restraining order, I filed it. After 25 years, after 6 solid years of abuse. And I knew I shouldn't have done it. Because the people that are in charge of the County of Essex are in line with the Democratic power brokering machine, which there's an entire book that is written about how politicians who are very good at stealing people's money are able to masquerade themselves and get into this book right here. Is one of the scariest books, like scarier than any Stephen King book. You know why? Because this is real. This is absolutely real. You have to read this book to understand just how corrupt the County of Essex, the County of Bergen, the County of Hudson, Northern New Jersey in general, and New Jersey as a state. Because this is a state issue. We have a cancer. This cancer is infecting more than 51% of the states in the Union. This is a huge problem. I know that I've gone on YouTube many times and have stated some really crazy things, but my consciousness was sent back from a future timeline. That is how I was able to know that the only way possible for us to save ourselves from the cancer known as the singularity, or an algorithm that has completely rotten everyone's brains in the last 5 years. 10 years ago, an innocent man would never be arrested 6 times without somebody raising a flag. Today, one of the main reasons why it happened is because you are all hypnotized by the singularity. You are looking at your phones, and based on that feed, you are developing your thoughts. You are not creating independent thoughts. These are not your thoughts. These are the thoughts of a reaction. What will people think if this is public? Because everything I think is from the public. Does that make any sense? Ladies and gentlemen, 4 is 0. I've had all 4 cases dismissed or downgraded to municipal court, which there is no jail possibility, which means that I have 0. And not to mention the fact that I look forward to going to trial on those, and I'll prove everybody wrong. I'm 6-0, I promise you this. I want nothing more. There's an appeal window or something like that. Go ahead, go invent some evidence and find a reason to recharge me. Ladies and gentlemen, I am the first human being in the history of the world to document, publish, and disseminate corruption before it happened. And I proved everybody absolutely wrong. Or right, depending on the way you saw it. But based on what I saw, there's only 4 people in this entire world that stood by me. And 5 minors. That's the truth. I've won. My name is Dana Lim Rhesus. I am demanding $250 million from the state of New Jersey. Or they can choose option 2, which is fabricate more evidence and continue to arrest me without probable cause. Because money, monetary damages, if I'm not the largest civil monetary damages awarded to a human being not physically injured in the history of the United States, then the corruption will never end. You see, there needs to be one human being that is a complete and utter example of the disgusting nature of how horrible, how disgusting the truth of politics, law enforcement, and the judicial system is in New Jersey. And I had the balls to film the content. And I could have easily gone to jail for a decade, and then a decade later won my case and all that, and I didn't do any of that. I kept cool, stayed calm, continued to film content, because I knew that I had to live a life in a world where my boys would even think. They would think to be able to say, Dad, this is your fault. Why did you do X, Y, Z? At this point, they can't say shit. Boys, I am a victim of a crime. People have their houses broken into. They get their cars stolen. That doesn't mean that they did anything wrong. If you left your keys in the car and someone stole your car, that's not your fault. It's a manufacturing defect that allows for that to even occur without 10 alerts coming on the personal devices and everything like that. You shouldn't be able to start your car with a remote starter if you don't have access to something to alert you to say, there's a key in the ignition, do not go to bed. But that won't happen. You see, then law enforcement won't be able to chase the cops, the kids that stole the cars, and then you wouldn't be able to get people to put into jail. You see how that works? Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does.
Now, today is the 31st, which means that tomorrow is April Fool's. Because I love everyone and I'm a nice guy, and tomorrow is April Fool's, I am going to be the first person in the world to say that I will fool everyone tomorrow and actually do it, because the whole point of April Fool's, it's supposed to be a surprise. People forget the date. That's where April Fool's comes from, is because people forget the date. Nowadays, people can't remember a single phone number. Look, let me tell you something, okay? Just to keep things in perspective. I like to make movies in real life. I like to say some outrageous things. They're not outrageous, they're truth. It's just you lack the knowledge and you're an idiot. And the idiot part is emotional, which means that you choose to judge me without actually doing the research. Now, here's the reality. I like movies. In order to say that I make movies in real life, I have to actually like and love movies. There are thousands of movies that are a direct correlation to parts of my life that are impossible to refute. Do you agree?
Yes.
I'm currently watching not one, not two, not three, but four brand new movies that are completely centered around the concept of the metaphysics of Groundhog's Day, as well as the concept of being in a time loop and the US government interfering in the best interest of the people so that we can avoid a future apocalypse. Do you understand? Do you agree?
100%. That's unbelievable.
It's about 7 movies. I could just name 4 off the top of my head based on when I turn the TV on. When you have 488 subscribers, and there is $6 to $10 billion a year in a budget that goes into Hollywood movies that returns a profit of maybe $2 billion and continues to be made, you might want to say to yourself, oh my God, what the hell is going on? Well, for example, good luck, have fun, don't die. That is something that I say to the boys, and I say to people all the time, good luck, have fun, don't die. And that is a movie that I watched about 15 minutes of so far.
Yeah.
And that is because it is so mind-boggling that I do not walk into a diner with dynamite on. I do not look like a homeless man like Sam Rockwell. I am a sophisticated businessman who understands the dichotomy of both the criminal element as well as the civil legitimate element of money making. Within the context of the people that I go and have issues with, there's only one sentence in this book that needs to be on the bottom of this so far that I've read. It's one of the best sentences of any nonfiction book of all time. My enemies, the people that are the enemies of the state, are constantly breaking the law while enforcing the rules. I'll say it again. The true bad guy in this entire narrative are human beings who break the law while enforcing the rules. Not the law, they enforce the rules, but they break the law themselves. Does this make any sense so far?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, please get excited. Please, please, please get excited. I am a free man. I am a free man. I am the real free man. If you are a free man, congratulations, please join me. But if you're a human being who calls himself a free man and does not have the free man mentality and does not know the value of his time and the value of the people around him, then you're a fraud, a charlatan, a phony. And I will expose you. Maybe in the next video, maybe in 900 videos from now. Who knows? But if you don't know what I'm talking about, I promise you, you will. You see, there are only two things that you can count on. Taxes and Dan Reese's. You know why? Because I spent my entire life being doubted. So when you live in a world of lies and you speak the truth, you might as well be a one-eyed man in the land of the blind, because it's absolutely the same thing. I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, you will see the greatest comeback of all time. You will see it live on YouTube as promised. As sure as shit as the sun will shine tomorrow. You get what I'm saying, blood?
Word.
I can't even say blood. It's
No.
a fucking gangs. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we live in a world where humans tell other people what their words mean, not the other way around. And I'll explain it very calmly. You see, the Hubble telescope, or the general telescope, was not that it was able to curve concave and convex lenses. That was going to happen. What they did was they took an image that everyone looked into a microscope or a telescope or anything that made something larger, and their brain used to see it. So everyone looked at it differently. And then the telescope, the Hubble telescope, and then instead of looking at it all differently, there was an image that was printed out, like a picture, and everyone looked at the same picture. And we progressed in a society where science agreed, because they were looking at the same picture. Then comes out the internet. Oof. One problem. Everyone's looking at a different version of the internet. Then comes out social media. Oof. That's even a bigger problem. That means that everyone is judging everyone on a different viewpoint, which means that everyone is looking at nothing more than a picture, but the picture is seen differently by the eyes of every single human. That separates us as a society. We are back to arguing. We do not create science. We do not engineer anything. We do not cure anything. All we do is argue, stare at our phones, and make people who speak feel uncomfortable. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the beginning of the apocalypse. All this can easily be solved with one meeting. I promise you. Please, my systems work. My equations work. I will fix this town, Phillipsburg. This town is Livingston, New Jersey. Livingstown, let's pronounce it L-Town. I'll explain all that later. Phillipsburg, New Jersey, the county of Essex, and the state of New Jersey. Once that's done, the rest of the states in the Union can go ahead and replicate my business model, which is an applied math equation. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't record, pre-record, or write down a single note, not one.
No.
And that's a slight lie, because I did write a few notes down a few weeks ago when things got a little bit hairy until this issue was resolved. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm a completely free man. I'll give you an example. I haven't seen my kids in 8 months. It's pretty simple. My son's birthday's coming up. If I'm not at the birthday or with my son on that date, no problem. I assure you that just as Bob Menendez went to federal prison because I walked into Fred Davies' apartment myself, shook Fred Davies' hand, and was guaranteed that he was going to stop doing what he was doing. Instead, he fucked me, stole my money, and gave Gold Bar Bob more gold bars in order to silence me. It didn't end well. I'm pleading with everyone. This is not a threat. But if I do not have my children in my life and my home back restored in a coherent 7-day-a-week fashion, just like I did before I publicly disclosed that I'm a victim of domestic abuse, I assure you, I will not stop until you serve time. Right now, you don't have to serve any jail time. You understand? Everyone could just apologize, write me a check, and move on with their lives. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Do you agree with me?
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand that I'm not interested in conflict, nor do I own a time machine?
Yeah.
There's only 2 ways to make up, and that is time and money. You can make up time, you can make up money. So, the state of New Jersey, it's about $250 million right now, because that's a small fraction of what I would have earned based on my income trajectory over the 5 years leading up to the cataclysmic events of COVID, which obviously allowed for law enforcement to not do their job, even for the number one federal agent in the country who has done more, including the Rittenhouse trial, putting Bob Menendez in prison, and dozens of other things, multiple dozens, that I can't even mention on YouTube right now. So if you as a society do this to me on a personal basis, what does anyone else stand a chance at? It is absolutely paradoxical, non-comprehensible or uncomprehendable, and inexcusable, the negligence that the human beings who are instructed to be the actual caretakers Okay. I wanna reiterate something. For Pierce's birthday, this is not a threat. A human being who is a father who hasn't seen his son in 8 months deserves to see his son. But my goal is also to expose the nature of corruption and what has happened to me. And that's impossible to do without people taking responsibility, which means that you have to take responsibility no matter what. But at the end of the day, I will say, do I believe this person should go to jail or have they learned their lesson will depend over the next few days if you recognize that I must be with my son on his birthday for me to say that. Is that a better way to put it? I am not threatening anyone. I have nothing to do with law enforcement. I don't know how much more I could prove it. And for everyone who I met on my journey over the last 8 months, I told you so. I told you I would beat everyone. I told you that what is happening is absolutely once in a billion. This has never happened before. My record of number of times arrested and beating those arrests quadruples the size of John Gotti. 4 times. That is the quantity of times I've been arrested, exonerated, and charges dropped or I beat it at trial. 4 times. Not one time have I ever been convicted of a single crime. I pled guilty on 2 separate occasions to 2 crimes that I both committed and didn't commit at the same time. It's a little complicated, but I'm an innocent man and the issue at hand is fully legal. You can buy it at any dispensary or any of that stuff. But I have a very complicated job at a very young age. My father, a very serious man, signed me up for something that is serious as life and death, a fucking heart attack. I don't know what analogies you want to make. But check out the show Wayward on Netflix. And if there's a certain name there that doesn't remind you of this channel, because I'm in the middle of it, so don't ruin it for me either. I don't want to get any emails about what happens. I don't get any emails. Everyone's nice and silent. Let me explain to everyone exactly what's going to happen. All right? 1, I need to make sure my kids are okay. I don't care about money until my kids are okay. That's my number 1 priority. 2, once my kids are okay, then we can talk about money. That's what a calm, logical, coherent. I had suffered a stroke. Forget about physical. I had suffered mental breakdowns after mental breakdown. I spent 31 days as a non-criminal in a place where it is dangerous to even look the wrong way, let alone exist, let alone be who I am, let alone go into general population as a human who's on YouTube saying that he's a federal agent. Do you guys have any fucking clue? You guys think that I'm just a regular guy that walked in? You forgot about all the thousands of times that I said I'm a federal agent on YouTube? You get points just by killing me in county jail. And I did it. I only went to PC once, not because I had to see a couple of things, and I'm not interested in any fighting. I know how to handle myself, both with my mouth, my tongue, because there's only 2 things that you actually own when you walk into prison, and don't ever forget it. Your tongue and your ass. And you better watch both of them very fucking carefully. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning.
Did you remind me yesterday to
I
fill
did
in?
not. I did not remind you yesterday. I was completely at fault yesterday. I
Wow.
know. I take the entire blame for yesterday.
Wow. Jamie.
I know, and I really do. I take the full.
As if go to hell
I know.
already wasn't my
Enough.
destiny.
Right.
Like the one thing,
I know.
the one saving grace
I
that I
know,
have,
that's the one
you
thing.
take away from me. one genuine religious article that is left in humanity right here. Let's fill in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Daniel M. Reeses. Today is
April 1st.
April 1st. And I realized that if I don't get the video that's before all of this out, tonight's video is not going to make any sense. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
You see, I'm an innocent man, a free man. I've committed no crimes. I've been arrested 6 times. I am a federal agent. I am not in law enforcement or a deadbeat dad. But what you will see tonight will mesmerize you. You will never, ever, 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 ever be able to unsee what you will see tonight. I promise you.